All right, I'm going to call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen July 26th to order. As we always do, I wanted to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. A reminder that this meeting is being recorded by MCTV. We'll move to the first item, Town Administrator Report, Mr. Maresco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be brief. Okay, so the week of July 12th, we had our annual Monday morning meeting with PMA. PMA is our project owner, project manager, to review the two construction projects that we have going, the police and the DPW, and we sort of set the agenda. We had also at the Selectmen's meeting, prior to our Selectmen's meeting, I had the meeting with Eversource to go over their preparation for coming before the Board of Selectmen. Also that week, we had the Levitate meeting to prepare for the Levitate concert that's going to be August 7th and 11th. We had the weekly police meeting with the owner and architect and construction to go over where we are with the construction project. Patrick and I met to go over the ARPA rules that keep ever-changing. Since the 13th, the federal government's updated their rules at least 3 other times. So we're constantly following those, additions and deletions. I had contract negotiations with the Marshfield Clerical Union, and I participated in the Board of Health meeting that evening and a ZBA meeting that evening. Also that week, we had a construction meeting every Wednesday with the Senior Center construction team, and to go over their progress. They're moving well. The building envelope itself is sealed, and all of the labor is now focusing on the interior, electrical, plumbing, plastering, technology, etc. Had a weekly meeting with Fred Russell. We're in a new fiscal year, so sort of setting some priorities of school projects that need to be done before the schools open, and moving ahead with some other projects. If anyone drove by the school administration building, it's one of the projects that's being done. That building, the town invested a lot of money, $3,999,999 to be exact, to redo that building, and it was badly in need of a paint job before the shingles got ruined, so we were having that building painted, and later on, some of the painters will be coming here to sand and prep the outside for painting, not the new clapboards, but the white that needs to be done all around the building and under the lightway and the columns, etc. So that will be done. It's been about 20 years since that was done, and they'll touch up the gold lettering, and our building will be done here. Also, I had a meeting with the technology people from our utility company, which is doing the electric carports. So we've been working with them because they need to work both with the construction company, Page Construction at the Senior Center, and GNR at the police station. And they come in and they use their own money, and they have to put in the foundations to hold the carports, and we coordinate with the utility, so that's going on. Also had a meeting with Andrew Stewart on some issues that were percolating in town regarding standard building permits, as well as some floodplain management issues. And Fred Russell, I had a meeting with Fred also. He's been working with the Brant Rock folks, Brant Rock Village Association, to try to get them. Going to see what we can do. The project started. They never worked quite the way you want. Started with lighting up the flagpole that's there because they would like to have the flagpole lit so they don't have to take the flag down. Well, the problem is you can't put lights in the ground because that area is prone to flooding, and salt is very corrosive. So even if you put waterproof lights, so then they decided they wanted a new and improved flagpole. So Fred's working with them to get a flagpole that has lights on the top. Then you just have to figure how you get the power. You have to do underground cabling and stuff like that. So more information to be told on that. We'll keep everyone updated. And then had a meeting with DPW. As you know, Patrick and I meet with the DPW once a month to go over some challenges, whether it's with personnel, budgetary challenges, building challenges, et cetera, to improve communication. Week of the 19th, same thing, meeting with PMA to go over any issues that may be lurking out there with the police project, and we continue to move ahead. They're just about finishing up the steel. If you went by on Thursday and Friday of last week, you would have seen them pouring the flooring for the second floor and the first floor. They're starting to insulate the outside of the building. And if you go by the trailer, you will see what the stonework and the brickwork will look like, and the colors and the textures that were selected. They have those models, and they use those, and I know it's going to come as a shock. They actually throw that away. They don't use any of that. They did tell me that we should rest easy because that was only about $25,000 or $30,000 of the cost of the project. When they do schools, it's about $150,000 to $200,000 because they got to do 2 to 3 story mock-up of how the stonework and everything fits in, how the stonework has to lock in. It's more than just, okay, hey, here's what your brick looks like, here's what the stonework is going to look like. So they do put a lot of time and effort into it. Had a meeting also with one of the commissioners of conservation, Andrew Stewart, to work out some issues. Patrick and I had about a 40-minute conversation with Treasurer O'Brien on some additional CARES Act and ARPA funding that he wanted to talk to us about. I had contract negotiations again. We're getting close with the Marshfield Clerical Union. I also had a building committee meeting with the police and the building committee. We have every other week we do a public meeting. So we had a public meeting to vote on some change orders. Every project has change orders as things evolve. Sometimes the change orders save money. Sometimes they cost you a little extra money. That's why you always have contingencies. We had a department head meeting where I went over sort of our summer program on hours, dress code, record storage, record maintenance, filing with the Records Conservation Board, and organizing the records at the Alamo. Also had another police station meeting with the owner, architect, and construction, and we had a coordination meeting with the NextGrid, and who was handling the installation of the solar carports. Also that week, we had the senior construction meeting, and they're finalizing interior lighting. The problem is with the senior centers running into, and I think that we're going to see this with the police station, and in another 10 days we'll be getting the quotes and bids in on the DPW, and hopefully they'll come in at budget or under budget. With the police, they're having, with the senior center project, they're having problems. You know, they have, the architect always has a designer, they design, they pick fixtures, and now getting the fixtures to come in. So that's been the challenge, trying to get vendors that can supply the product, not to hold up the project. We had a meeting on energy conservation and my weekly meeting with Fred Russell, and I was on vacation for a couple of days last week. So that is my town administrator's report.
Great, thank you so much. Busy week, especially being on vacation. So we have an appointment of Dave Carrier from the Board of Public Works, but it's past time.
Okay, just Mr. Chairman, he called. They're having an executive session which required Bob to be there. He's going to come here immediately after they're through. So
no worries.
He said if you could go ahead and then he'll join.
No worries. So next appointment, it's a little early, but John, you're here, so let's just go ahead and knock that out. John Krabowski from MCTV, giving us an update on MCTV.
Sure.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Very good.
Just make sure get this to work.
It's our halfway through summer meeting, so.
Yeah. Let's see if this will magically work.
Oh, is that going to go on? Do we have that?
Thanks. So I try to do this as an annual thing to come to the Board of Selectmen every year to kind of give a recap of what's going on in MCT over the past year. This is part of my, I call it the summer tour. So a few weeks ago we had our annual meeting with the members. Last week I was with the school committee, and tonight I have the pleasure of being with you.
Excellent.
with you,
Thanks for
gentlemen.
coming in.
Is this up?
Hit the button, Joe, if you don't mind. Press the
The little square thing, yeah.
Press it down. It's pressed down. There's an issue.
Is it
Oh,
on?
You know what? It's not on.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Rule number 1 of technical troubleshooting. All right, so
Those things are cool, actually. They're pretty cool.
let me just.
If they work,
And-
they're cool.
Yeah,
It's the simple share.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be in there. There you go.
it should be on. Do I hold it down or just a tap?
It looks like you just-
Well, if anything, I can
Waiting
send
video, it says.
It's here. Well, I can always send this to you afterwards. There's nothing really
It's fine.
fancy, but I'll
We
send
can
it.
try to get it going and
Sure,
then.
I'll send it. I can send it to Bev afterwards. So, oh, maybe my computer. It's kind of old, anyhow.
I don't think so.
anyhow.
I mean, it's.
So, just kind of the brief MCTV 101 for those that.
There you go.
There I am, but see my wonderful.
You'll probably have to drag it over or change your view.
Let's see.
Like to, do you have multiple screens at home? I mean, at work.
Let's see if I can get this too.
Like we're going on a journey.
We are going.
I like that.
I do too. I think
It's
it's
from
That looks like either Texas or
Utah,
Utah.
Antelope Island
There you go.
in Utah. But I'm trying to. Let's see.
There it is. Oh, no.
That's weird. It won't. The presentation won't come up though.
Oh,
Always something.
it is. Oh, there it is. See how you dragged it? You drag
we
it.
had it. Try it again.
Oh,
There you go.
oh, there we go.
There you go.
Yay! I know.
That's what I figured. Oh,
I know. I'm gonna try to drag it over because I can't see it on my screen then.
yeah, you have to.
Maybe get some IT help us.
Not that I'm any major expert, but I have multiple screens. So what happens is when you move to the next screen, there's a setting where you can see it on both screens or just one, and this is like a projected. There you
There
go.
we go.
So you can just you can just look it on that one.
So just to give you all kind of a crash course in MCTV. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We were established in the fall of 2007. Our full first day of operation was January 1, 2008. I have a 5-person board of directors. Some of them, for example, our board president right now is former town council Bob Marzelli. Jim Robinson, who some of you know is the former moderator, is the current treasurer. And we have a few other people as well. We're a full-time staff of 5 people. We have 1 part-time person that helps out with government stuff and a variety of interns. We usually have 3 to 4 interns from Marshfield High School, and then 2 to 3 interns from college programs that we use for our news programs, throughout the year. Most of our funding comes through cable revenue. As you know, the town negotiates the contracts with Comcast and Verizon, and we're a part of that. So we currently receive 4% of the gross quarterly profits from Comcast and 4% from Verizon. Those contracts were renegotiated just a few years ago. I think one went into effect in 2019, the other in 2020. The key components that I like to talk about are distribution platforms. So everyone knows us for the 3 channels on Comcast and Verizon, the public, education, and government. So those are the bread and butter. We also have a streaming channel that's accessed through our website, and we also have a Roku app. One of the initiatives that we started a couple years ago was MCTV Anywhere, Anytime. The ability for someone to get MCTV content on a device that they're choosing, whether it be their TV, their computer, their tablet, at anywhere in the world, at any point. We provide a lot of opportunities for individuals, organizations, businesses through membership, public service announcement days, production services, training, etc., so on, and community collaboration. We do a lot of that. We work with a lot of groups in town, even some out of town. For example, Friendship Home out of Norwell, we do a lot of work with them. We've worked with the Plymouth County United Way. We've worked with Alice's House, you name it. We've probably worked with groups in town. And the big thing that we've been pushing is over the past few years is how to be a resource to town hall and the school department, especially over the past year and a half with everything COVID-related going on. Being a resource so people could get information that was important and very much get through that clutter of everything else that was going on. The recap of 2021. So across all 4 channels I mentioned, there was 27,000 hours of programming. There was, just making this bigger, 11,000 visitors to our website, marshfieldtv.org, which has our on-demand system, our streaming channel, our news platform, and information about the organization as well. One of the big things that we've been pushing over the past few years was our YouTube platform, which had 49,000 views on the YouTube channel over the past year. We also did a major capital upgrade, our asset management system, which is used by the school and MCTV for all our content and files. We went from a 48 terabyte server we bought a couple of years ago when we built our new facility in Marshfield High School, and we now have a 160 terabyte server, so created some space, which is nice. We've also, in the COVID transition, we went back to full operation in October of 2020. The staff worked from home from about March till about, we started bringing people back into the office at the end of May. We went from 2 people at a time to 3 to 4 and then to 5. We let members do curbside pickup of equipment and of programming during the summer, and then we made the decision to fully go back to operation back in October of 2020. We were probably one of the first media centers in the state to go back to full operation. During that time, what we did is we wanted to make sure our members and the community were engaged. So what we did was we created virtual training platforms so people could create content from home and also learn from home. We created our Tech and Treat series, which we do on the last Tuesday of every month, which is open to members and non-members of the organization. We made that a virtual event so people could log in via Zoom. It was pretty successful, and we're pretty excited to actually go back to in-person events now, so we're looking forward to that. The collaboration that we just wrapped up that we've been really excited about was the Open for Business campaign with the Marshfield Chamber. So Lara Brate, who you know is the executive director of the chamber, came to us and said, hey, we have an opportunity to take some of that grant money to produce some videos. So we worked with her and the chamber to produce a series of videos spotlighting businesses in town. It was really successful, and we're actually going to be working on Situate's version of Open for Business, and now we're going to be working on also the South Shore Chamber's version of their Open for Business campaign, which is called Hello South Shore. An event we do every year, and it's probably my favorite day at MCTV, is our Public Service Announcement Day. We've been doing this, I believe, since 2008. We used to do it twice a year, which was kind of crazy to think about. So it's a day where we have nonprofit organizations or government departments come in and produce a 30-second PSA about their organization. The who, what, where, when, how we serve the community, and how you can get in touch with us. So I think we had 15 groups this year come in and do PSAs. It's a lot of fun. It creates a real relationship with a lot of nonprofits. We have people that have been coming every year. We have new people coming in. It helps develop relationships in the community as well. And has that whole, we can work with you on something else as well. So that was a lot of fun. On to the other fun stuff, the education government content. So we did a lot of work with the schools this past year, as you can imagine. 93 sporting events, whether it be varsity, JV, freshman. At the beginning of the school year, Bill Bass, the athletic director for the schools, came to us and said, help, please. We need help with coverage, and it was very popular. It was probably one of the big successes we've had over the past year. One of the things that we've been working on is how do we have a lot of people, we connect with a lot of younger people or older people. How do we get the people that may not have time to get involved with MCTV, may have kids in the school system, may not work in town? Well, covering their child's sporting events was the best way to kind of reach that audience, so that was really successful. We covered graduation and a lot of other senior activities between the senior night out, the scholarship night, the senior music awards, homecoming, you name it. We did it this year, which was a lot of fun. And on the government side, we covered 170 government meetings and events. The remote meeting for government worked well in our favor. It allows us to do a lot more. One of the issues that we always run into with in-person government meetings is bodies, getting enough staff members, volunteers, interns to cover as many government meetings as possible. With the remote meetings, it was just tapping into a Zoom feed, and we were able to do maybe at times 4 to 5 meetings depending on the schedule in one night. So that was really exciting. So that's why we were able to do 170 meetings. We cover 7 boards and committees on a regular basis. So that's Board of Selectmen, School Committee, Board of Public Works, Advisory, Planning, ZBA, Concom. A lot of those meetings are live and then archived, so they're either on our on-demand page on the website and also our Vimeo, our government Vimeo channel. And the government Vimeo channel has about 530 government meetings and events on it.
Just
We
tap
lost
it
track.
again.
It's all right. So I just lost my train of thought for a second with that blinking. So that's, we tried covering as much as possible. In addition to covering those groups, if there's a meeting that we have the opportunity to cover, we'll do it. We also could do town meeting. We cover, the fall, the special in the fall, the special and the annual in the spring, and also do town meeting previews with town council and the town administrator and the town moderator. We've also worked with the town on government PSAs over the past year. We had some of our leaders in town, such as the town administrator, the fire chief, the police chief, come in and produce PSAs for important information and initiatives that they had going on. Last but certainly not least, and I will send this PowerPoint to you all later, so our goal for next year is to continue that coverage of meetings, events, and initiatives to support open and transparent government. The biggest feedback that we've received over the past year from people is they love the government coverage. It's tough to get to meetings. It's tough to get if there's 2 or 3 meetings going on at night. It's tough to kind of find out what's going on. So having that resource, and we're able to turn around meetings in a quick fashion so people can see them. We're facing some potential challenges. So over about a year and a half ago, the FCC created the 621 order, which would allow cable companies to deduct in-kind contributions from the revenue they give to media centers. So for example, anything that Comcast or Verizon did above and beyond for us, that was beyond kind of the basics, they could charge back to us and take away from the revenue. That order was recently in the Federal Court of Appeals. The appeal was denied, but the court did bring up some ideas saying, why are you doing it at fair market value? You should be doing it at cost value. So we haven't seen any impacts by that yet, but it's out there, and we know it, and it may happen. The one exciting thing that's going on is there's a bill at the State House under 2 names. It's under H-130 and S-2200. So this is a bill to put a fee on streaming services. This was created by the Mass Access Board of Directors, which I'm a member of. I'm also a member of the Legislative Committee, and we worked with State Rep Joe Machino to create this bill. So as you know, streaming services, that are in town, like your Netflixes, your Amazon Primes, for example, they use the public rights of way, and they don't have to pay a fee, whereas the cable companies do have to pay a fee for using those public rights of way. So this bill will put a 5% fee on digital streaming services, making over $250K in the state. And here's the great part of it. So 40% of that revenue is going to go to media centers like MCTV. 40% is going to go to municipalities. And 20% is going to go to the State General Fund. So we're really excited about this bill. We're waiting for a hearing. It's actually going to go to 2 different committees in the way that government works. So I'll be keeping you posted on it. And then last but not least, we're going to continue to invest in government media. For example, we're going to be working with the police station in putting equipment into the EOC for live broadcast. So that's a project that we have on the horizon that we're excited to work on. And that's what's going on with MCT over the past year and things that we're going to be working on over the next year. And I appreciate the time this evening.
No, thanks for coming in, John. I know it's been a challenging time with COVID, and honestly, without MCTV, I think a large amount of our townspeople would be in the dark. I think the fact that you have live programming, but also on demand, and like you said, multiple ways for people to consume. I'm a media guy, so I come from media, so it's all about reaching people where they are in the devices or the vehicles that they consume with. So I think you guys do an excellent job of that, and it's great to see opportunity to grow this and grow reach, and invest in more content. I think there are always going to be challenges for public television, but I think I personally support it and appreciate the work that you do over there. So I appreciate you coming in and giving us an update.
Great.
Mr. Darcy, do you have any?
Yeah, people love being able to watch the meetings on their own time if they can't make it in real time. And we appreciate the update, Jonathan. And I think that your staff brought their A game for tonight's meeting because you're here. So.
Exactly. Let's go coin.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a full year. Did an excellent job. It was a really difficult year. I think transparent government provides good government, and so I really applaud your work in increasing transparency of government. I think it's very important. And as far as Zoom goes, I adjusted to Zoom myself on the Conservation Commission. I saw a lot of advantages of Zoom, and now I'm hearing on your side there were advantages as well. What are your thoughts on Zoom in 2021? You covered a whole boatload of meetings last year.
It's going to depend on also what the rules are, you know, in regards to, the state I know is kicking ideas around government meetings and hybrid meetings and all that. I mean, we'll work with whatever the town decides to do. That's our job.
So if we want to continue that as like a hybrid type model and it's allowed, then that's something you'd be able to support?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Great. All right. Thanks
Thank you,
so much,
gentlemen.
John.
Appreciate it.
See
Thanks
you
for coming
soon.
in.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Jonathan.
So I see Mr. Carrier's here. Dave, you want to come on up and we'll talk about PFAS. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. So,
Well, I'm sure everyone is fully aware of polyfluoroalkylide substances, commonly known as PFASs. There are also PFOSs. It is pervasive, and I had a perfect example of pervasive. I was at my orthopedics on Friday for a partially torn supraspinatus tendon, and as I was waiting between the intern and the actual surgeon to come in and go through the MRI and x-rays with me, I'm looking up on the wall, and it has a sign there that says, if you want a waterproof cast, parentheses, Gore-Tex. Gore-Tex is a fabric and a substance that uses PFASs. This is how pervasive it is out there in our world. I'm pretty sure, but I can't say it with absolute certainty, but looking carefully at my shaving cream tonight, I think there's some in there too. Gonna have me back to my old Spice soap cup, except Old Spice doesn't make soap anymore. The issue that, and we have, I have a proposed revision to the Marshfield Code number 285-19.1. It was the old bylaw 94, and it basically is to take and try to make any entity coming into town that's doing like construction and other work, to have them reveal what they have for PFAS type substances, and if they can't eliminate them, then they have to take actions to basically prevent it from getting into the ground in some way, shape, or form, whether that's physical barriers or other methods. That is up to them. And this is building on the initial one that I did was when Osmos Corporation was coming around and pumping all the poles for Verizon with treatment. And while I can't say with absolute certainty that they had PFAS materials in there because it's all proprietary stuff, of the half dozen odd health considerations and concerns that is in the DEP regulation and stuff associated with this stuff, and the EPA regulation recommendations, I should say. 4 of them were associated with the Osmos products that were being pumped. So if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it may well be a duck. At any rate, they're not supposed to have been putting any of that stuff any place close to a public water source, and of course they were pumping it right into the pole in front of Furnace Brook 3, which is the well site at the highway. The one thing I want to make sure we are clear on, that we do not have presently any violation or issue in exceedance when it comes to PFAS itself. The Webster 1, Webster 2, Furnace Brook 1, Furnace Brook 4 wells all have PFAS, the highest being Furnace Brook 4 at 7.3, 6.3 for Webster 1, 5.8 for Webster 2, and Furnace Brook 1 at 5.1. One interesting item I picked up on discussions I had with the town engineer, those 4 wells that I just mentioned also are those where our nitrates are on the higher side. We're still well under the MCL, the guideline, but that's typically indicative of probably a septic system carryover of nitrates if the nitrates get into exceedance. And I think one of the things that needs to happen as we go forward, whether the bylaw passes or doesn't pass, is that we will, in our water quality report and in our mailings from the DEP, from the DPW, we will be trying to get as much information into people's hands to, you know, try to mitigate and minimize the amount of PFAS material they particularly put into the waste stream. You know, whether it's on the sewer system or whether it's, you know, in the septic system. You know, and likewise, reaching out to, you know, any other schools that are near the aquifers and the like to make sure that, you know, we try to get that in there. And maybe we can educate the student bodies that, you know, yeah, don't wash your cosmetics off at school.
Right.
Type of thing.
Exactly.
Those are the issues we have. I have, actually, the state of Maine is in front of us on this. They have already passed legislation, and I guess my last understanding was before the governor for signature, which effective 2023, PFASs are no longer permitted, and they are to be completely out of the stream supposedly by 2030. But Maine has had some significant issues, one of which was they were encouraging dairy farmers to use septic sludge and waste sludge from the pulp process industry as fertilizer for the fields. And a couple of dairies have had to shut down because of high PFAS in the dairy product as a result of that. It was a piece that was in the Portland Herald, I think it was I saw online. I've had some brief conversations with a young woman named Lee Berman, who happens to be a consultant who works up in Maine that I happen to know through my son and his wife. And she's going to try to give me a little feedback as to where they stand with that in Maine, just so we know ourselves where they're going. Their constraint is the same as ours, 20 parts per trillion. And, you know, that translates, for those that like it, as 12 points to the right of the decimal point. That's how minute we're talking about here. This is something that is of extreme concern. And I did see another piece, I think it was in the Herald, the Globe, that the House right now, the federal House right now, is proposing legislation to require EPA to move from a guideline position to a regulatory position, and also to basically document the products in which you find PFASs that are commonly used by people. You know, how successful that legislation will be passing through the House and the Senate is a coin toss. I'd like to think that's something most people will get behind, but maybe not. One thing I did want to mention, when you are looking at some of these numbers, and for example, if you were looking at the Fairgrounds well site, you know, they had some findings that translated to 2.1, but 3 out of the 4 detected PFASs that they, and PFASs that they found, there was a J qualifier next to it, and I did not think to give you guys a second page, but the J qualifier basically says that that is an estimated value. And when you see that in an analytic type situation, typically you have an absolute minimum detectable amount. And the repeatability on that is typically 1/2 of whatever the absolute detectable would be if you have good repeatability. Twice that amount. And I think that's why the J qualifiers are there. The estimate is there. When those low 1.2, 0.76, and 0.63s came up, I'm sure that when they tried to do a follow-up repeat test, they couldn't get it, which is why the J qualifier was put in. That's very typical of most analytical chemical action stuff. So we do find that our vessels, which we have 2, Furnace Brook number 1 and Furnace Brook number 3, have carbon filters, activated charcoal filters. They are a good screen against the PFAS for the most part. Not every one of the complex chemicals, but most of them. The negative to that is, particularly if you use a system where you backwash to clean a high pressure drop through the carbon filter, something like that, we would be, going forward, that would kind of be prohibitive on us if we got a high PFAS in the raw water coming in, simply because then you're just flushing it back out into the ground. We would not want to do that. We'd have to go to some form of disposal and get it to a process someplace. I listened in on the webinar that the Mass Municipal Association did the other day, as well as the repeat on community television that they had of the State House task force hearings. And we're talking where people have a real issue and have to get it out of the system. Millions of dollars physically for the equipment to take care of it. The town of Air, where my oldest child lives, spent $12 million on one well. And basically they had to put in a mixed bed demineralizer system to take the stuff out. What was never discussed there is the operational cost of that is significant, because you have to regenerate the resins, when they become depleted and you start to see breakthrough, that's a chemical process. The waste coming out of that is under the old Toxic Use Reduction Act of the DEP, and therefore has to have special handling, not to mention you have to have an acid vessel, and a caustic vessel, a base vessel, to run the demineralizer processing. The power plant world was using mixed bed demineralizers back starting in the late 60s to early 70s in the supercritical pressure boilers, and I worked on some of them. It's very extensive and not easy to do. So basically, we're looking for support at town meeting, obviously, both of the town meeting itself, but it's nice to have the endorsement of the Board of Selectmen, on a bylaw that basically puts this on to the backs of somebody coming in and doing something new. This is not designed to suddenly go out and try to be policemen for the average John Q. citizen, because it's too big, it's too much, and education and communication should give us some results on that. And right now, we're basically looking at 4 wells, that are up at half the level or above, but under the 20 parts per million. I'm sorry, a quarter of the level, and 2 that are less. And one of them, Furnace Brook number 1, there was a note on there that from the water supervisor that the next time will be, and we're into our second round of sampling now, and that's important because we need to know what the trends are. Also, subsequent to the Mass Municipal Association hearing, and they had looked for questions in advance, and I thought that was kind of like, okay, first you need to hear what you know before we ask the question, maybe answer the question. But I did put 6 questions through the superintendent to go out to Mass Municipal, because I want to know if anybody's done any studies on what kind of soil and what kind of transport time is involved for migrating PFAS at certain levels in the groundwater. Whether or not, in fact, heat of any form, because that is a form of treatment that's relatively easy to do, will destroy the PFAS or dissociate it. And you could do that on the raw water side by having, something like an electrode, like you'd have an electric hot water heater in there to raise it to some critical temperature that could break it down. Also, whether or not our UV systems, which we have in 3 of the well sites, would in fact have any impact on dissociating the PFAS. They don't normally break down in the atmosphere, in the environment, but most chemicals break down under some form of energy, being injected into them. Not all, but most. So we're looking down those roads, and the research will continue. I don't know if the town has put anyone, or thought about putting anyone onto the task force, for the state looking at PFAS. But if asked, my answer would be yes.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Mr. Carrier. I appreciate that. I looked over some of this before the meeting, and I think, I think it's very important. Things like this get into our drinking water. It's important to get ahead of things. There's been other substances issues with substances over time, led other types of things that people just, until it got bad, and then like you said, the abatement cost a whole lot of money to get rid of it.
Yeah,
and
I did have error in one area. The system, meaning the water that's getting to the taps, was no PFAS detected at all, okay, which would be expected with the volumes we're seeing here.
Sure.
It's the old dilution solution thing. You get so many, you're probably moving from parts per trillion to parts per quadrillion.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's important. I mean, you're saying right now our citizens aren't at risk of any major danger from PFAS.
We know of nothing. Like I said, we're just into the second round, and the rounds of testing will continue at a relatively accelerated rate until some kind of a consensus is reached, as to what the frequency A should be going forward. B, identifying rates of change. And if the rates of change are de minimis for us, meaning or even going down, I'm going to be quite interested to see what the newest round of sampling will show, because we had so much rain this month.
Mm-hmm.
That should accelerate groundwater transportation, because it's going to be moving faster to the aquifer. Water flows
Certainly.
from the high spot to the low spot. And it'll be interesting to see what impact that has.
Something interesting you mentioned. You said with the Verizon situation that when they did the polls, they put the stuff in there as proprietary. If town meeting passed this, I mean, would they, even if it's proprietary, would they have to divulge that there's PFAS involved in that?
I
Or-
would, for example, just the first thing I'd add is, they did the whole town.
Yeah.
So that's typically something that happens maybe every 10 years, that type of work.
Sure.
It's not something that'll be on our horizon right away. If there's further action by the EPA, US EPA, and Mass DEP, and the Mass Legislature, and the federal legislature, the proprietary will go by the boards, you know. And
Sure.
I would rephrase it as, you wouldn't say that they divulge necessarily what is there, but they might say, okay, this product contains PFAS 1 through 6, which are the first 6 that are currently regulated, and the other batch is not, they're just being for information. They would be making that statement, and then we would know, and then we would say, okay, then you can't go anywhere near this pole or that pole. And what does that mean? That means, okay, if those poles can't be treated, Verizon, all the poles in Marshfield, Verizon said, except for a few,
Yeah.
they have to replace a pole instead of what they do, paying Osmos to do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I think a good point is, that you said, is educating citizens about the types of things that have PFAS in them, because I'll be honest, I didn't know, I learned a lot from reading about that prior to this meeting. I had heard, I mean, I'd known about PFAS and how it can impact drinking water and other things and the health results from that. But I didn't realize, like soap, certain soaps have PFAS in them and things like you were just talking about. So I think education's a major part of this, and I think that I applaud that.
Basically, I'm not going to, I'm going to suggest that staff, basically in the water department, will, put an RFP.
Right.
Find somebody that has got some conversance on it, and can kind of document products from their own knowledge and other research and move forward. And that, to me, that would be the way to prepare a brochure. We may be able to work something through the Waterworks, the association.
Excellent.
So that's where we're headed, and I hope for your support.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Darcy. Do you have?
Yeah, Dave, thanks for your work to update our bylaw. It's scary stuff. It seems like every week there's a new article in the global community where their PFAS level is over 20 parts per trillion. It's very scary. So I was relieved to see that our initial round of testing came in below that, and that we're doing additional rounds of testing just to be safe, to see what the trend is, and that we're being proactive. So really appreciate your work. And based on your feedback, we're really glad I skipped the shaving creep recently. So they've been a good decision.
That's why Steve stopped shaving.
Yeah.
Anyway, so good. Mr. Kilcoyne.
Yeah, most of mine revolved around the education part, Dave, so you've kind of answered that already through some of the previous comments. It's a very important issue, obviously, from a health perspective, and if we don't stay on top of it, from a cost perspective, so.
And, years back, my hat's off to one of my board members, now currently this year, Mr. Shaughnessy, because Bob Shaughnessy was very ardent about exclusion as much as we can. And, he did a lot of water protection purchases. Some of it, which, at the time I didn't encourage, but now when I think about it, some of it's wetland, and that's a good place to start, because, if you can eliminate it in surface water, then you don't have to worry about it. And if there's nobody next door to it, it's there. Like I said, the issue I see right now is identifying, and in particular, maybe an outreach to specific locations where, hey, you're adjacent to that. PFAS is these are the ones we know about. You should try not to use them if you can help it in your life. We can't tell you not to, but we would recommend that you don't.
Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the work on this.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Night, Mike.
Thank you, David.
All right. So let's move on to our action items. Action item 1 is discussion and vote on changes to Board of Selectmen Policy and Procedure Manual. The change, the changes to this would be to change the meeting time from 7 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on the first and third Monday of each month, unless otherwise posted, and add an addition of revision lists at the end of the manual. So Mr. Kilcoyne, since you've kind of brought this forward, is there anything else we need to think about on this?
I think this is the start where we all wanted to start as a team,
Yeah.
to make sure it at least reflects currently what we're doing.
Yes.
We may want to build on it from there. with some additional items. I think we brought this up at our last meeting, didn't we, Mr.
We did,
Resco?
so this
Yes, we
is
did.
just,
We're able to vote on it this evening.
Correct,
Right,
because
this
we
is
posted
just-
it.
Gotta wait the
Right,
second
had to be
meeting.
correct,
posted.
so this is just a vote, I just want to make sure there wasn't anything else you wanted to talk about. Mr. Darcy, anything?
Thank you.
Any discussion on this?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, great. So I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the Select Board's Policy and Procedure Manual to include changing the meeting time from 7 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., changing the meeting days to the first and third Monday of each month unless otherwise posted, and the addition of revision list at the end of the manual.
Second?
I made a motion.
Okay, there's no, because we're at
Oh,
a
right.
regular meeting, there's no roll calls.
That's right.
The
I'm
chairman,
so,
yes.
I'm so
We're not
used
used
to
to
it.
this. This is,
so
we're
used to
breaking
it.
ground tonight.
Yeah. All in favor?
Hi.
All right, great. That's
I
loving
mean,
it.
if you prefer, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to
No,
call
I'm
the roll
good.
call.
I'm good. I'm good. I was like, what's going on? I'm lost.
This is my first meeting like this.
Yeah.
After a year.
Yeah. I was like,
Wild.
second, okay. Wait. I
So
was
the
waiting for
reason,
him to
right,
call.
so the reason with the roll call is so the people don't, when they tune in, they may not know. See, when people tune in tonight, they'll see that you have your name and who's the chair.
Sure.
So when they're on TV, even though that's there for whatever reason,
Yeah.
the state said that you have to do everything by roll call. People have
Right,
to
this
announce
has
who they
been-
are.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I believe me. I like the old way. So, great. So, second item is discussion and vote on common victual license for the Levitate Festival taking place August 7th and 8th. I'll read these off. It's Levitate Backyard LLC, Island Creek Oysters, the Chubby Chickpea, Slack Tide Coffee Roasters, the Clandestine Kitchen, Umami Bites Catering Company, the Filling Station, the Chef's Table, the Sausage Guy, and Away Cafe for the 7th and 8th, pending approval from the Marshville Police Department, Marshville Fire Department, Building Department, the Board of Health, and paying the required fee. So, any discussion on this?
No questions.
Any discussion, questions?
No questions.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve those common victual licenses.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. I'm looking forward to eating those foods. Some of my favorite ones are in there. Number 3, discussion and vote on common victual license for Marshville Fair, August 20th through the 29th. Those are Tim Tibbitt's Tim's Concessions. He'll have 3 stands there. Vita Morata, Porky's Barbecue, the Duxbury Lions Club, and Paul Bacino, 2 stands for the Marshville Fair. This would be pending approval, the MPD, MFD, Board of Health, Building Department, and paying the required fee. So we also, just so you know, we also approve any other common vic licenses in advance, and based on contingents on receiving the necessary pay work, $10 fee, and those approvals. So right now, these are the only ones we're approving. Any questions or concerns?
No questions.
Nope, no questions on this one either.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the following common victual licenses: Tim Tibbitt's Tim's Concessions, Vita Morata, Porky's Barbecue, Duxbury Lions Club, and Paul Bacino, 2 stands.
Mr. Chair, could you just read out also that that is contingent upon receiving the necessary paperwork and fees?
Correct. So that's contingent on pending approval from the MPD, MFD, Board of Health, Building Department, and paying the required fee.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
And Mr. Chairman, are
Yes,
you
sir.
going to do the second part, which is if any other applicants come in, it's just easier for the staff?
Got it.
Might
Got it.
suggest that, yeah.
So I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen also approve any other common victual applications in advance, contingent on receiving the necessary paperwork, $10 fee per license, pending approval from the MPD, MFD, Board of Health, and Building Department.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Great.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please. Thank you. Number 4, discussion and vote on opening up applications for ARPA funding for nonprofits to recover lost revenue. As anyone who's watched our meetings know, we've had a couple discussions about this ARP money that's available, and we'd like to open it up to the nonprofits who have lost revenue over the COVID, over 2020 and the COVID period, to be able to come forward, show their need, and apply for some of this funding. Anything, Mr. Moresco, else we need?
I think that sets it so it's really Going to open it up. The people can send their profit and loss statement for calendar year 19 and calendar year 20. The reason the treasurer collectors will be able to take a look at that and then make an assumption that they either lost money or they didn't. In order to request the assistance, they have to prove. And if they're an organization that's over 100,000, Patrick, they need to have certified. So they take in over 100K, they need to have certified profit and loss.
And the reason it's on a calendar year is because, contrary to how nonprofits and municipalities act, the federal guidance as of today is that you have to operate on a calendar year for whatever reason. So we operate in a fiscal, they operate in a fiscal. The feds say, "Oh well, make a calendar." So it makes 0 sense, but rules are the rules.
Right.
But today.
Yeah, in a week it will
Rules
change.
today,
We'll be back
right.
again.
So this will give, I know we're going to advertise this in the Mariner, probably MCTV, other outlets,
WATD.
WATD, and make sure people are aware of this. I mean, feel free, anyone's watching, to spread the word. And we want to make sure that people that took a hit can have the opportunity to recoup some of their losses. So, Mr. Darcy.
Just for clarification, we already have the P&L for the Marshfield Animal Shelter, so we would not need to receive it. We already have access to it.
Great, perfect. Anything else?
Nope.
Mr. Kilcoyne.
I just encourage people to take advantage of the program. The money is there. I did have some questions on the awareness campaign, but you just answered them.
Yeah, excellent. Did you have something, Mr. Delarissa?
I just want to. I'll circle back with my granted, but did we take a formal vote to approve any of the funding for any nonprofits as of yet?
Not yet. We're going to wait till we get them all,
Gotcha.
right.
Okay. We're
And
gonna
then,
get them all at once.
and then depending on that, there's a finite amount of money, so then we'll have to see how many qualify and then
Right.
I
figure out what
apologize.
the amount will be
I just
for.
want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
No.
No.
So, sorry. I apologize. Thank you.
No worries. So I'll make a motion to allow nonprofits to submit a written request to the Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, and Town Administrator to request ARPA funding to help their organization survive during the pandemic. The letter of request will need to be accompanied by a P&L statement of your organization for calendar year 2019 and 2020. The deadline for submission will be August 9th, 2021 by 7 p.m. to the Board of Selectmen office.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, the next is a discussion and vote on Veterans Agent request for permission to accept a donation. It's a $250 donation from the Korean War Veterans Association to assist veterans and their families in their time of need. I have no questions. Mr.
No questions.
No questions.
So I'll make a motion to approve the acceptance by the Marshfield Veterans Services of $250 from the Marshfield Korean War Veterans Association to be used to assist veterans and their families in their time of need.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Next is discussion and vote on new appointment to Capital Budget Committee, Richard Brentano. My only question is, do we have an opening on capital budget? I didn't
Yes.
think we did. Oh, we did.
There is, yeah.
Who,
There is?
did somebody resign?
Jack
When
keeps
you look at
saying
the-
that there's a vacancy, yeah.
When you look at the openings that are published,
Yeah, they're
Mr.
not-
Rusco,
there's not
it's
one on.
not on there. Now, the Capital Project Building Committee has 3 openings, but the Budget Committee is not listed as having an
Do you
opening.
remember who?
I'm not sure if Ms. Garvey's been in attendance at any of the meetings.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
but-
think that may, I don't think we, I'll follow up.
I mean, I guess my feeling is
Yeah.
like, unless there's an official opening and she has resigned, then Mr. Brentano couldn't be appointed, but how about, I'm gonna make I mean, look, Mr. Brentano looks like an excellent addition, and like we always say, we're looking for qualified people
Yeah.
to volunteer. He's a newer resident, and I love the idea of him getting involved in town government, but I'm gonna table this for one meeting to make sure that, that there's an opening. So I'll make a motion to table Mr. Brentano's appointment until the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
a comment here. Who could possibly look, in the meantime, until, there is an opening, we do have 3 openings on Capital Project Building Committee. Who would be able to look into that and see if he might be willing to serve there in the interim?
Yeah, I'm happy
Seems
to-
very
I'm hap-
interesting.
I'm
He's got
happy to call him.
capabilities.
Yeah, so I think that I think that's a very good point, Mr. Kilcoyne. I think the point is he wants to serve. Let's
Yeah.
find a spot for him.
Yeah.
Even if capital budget isn't available at this point. So
And when it opens up, you know, if
I agree.
he still has an interest.
Absolutely, it could be a great place for him. Mr. Darcy, anything on this? I didn't even.
Did you guys have anything that you wanted to add in?
Beverly was saying that there was a vacancy. The sheet that you have now shows there's no vacancy because it's assuming that you were going to vote to put somebody on, but Jack keeps saying that there's a vacancy, so we'll have to check with him.
Okay.
Do you just want to do it contingent on confirmation that, you know, there is a vacancy?
We could do that.
way
We could
can
do
square
that,
it away?
sure.
I'll just.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Contingent
And-
that there's a bona fide vacancy.
Yeah, and if not, you could maybe reach out to him, see
I'll
if he's
reach the
interested
server-
in capital
yeah.
project.
Perfect.
Excellent idea.
All right, I love that. I love when we get the band together.
This is so updated, is what you're saying, that,
Yes.
that you've already anticipated.
Yes.
I love it.
Just so you know, you're confusing us doing that.
All right. So I have. So let's go back. I've looked at Mr. Brentano's credentials, his background. I'm thankfully he wants to serve. Anything else?
Yeah, no questions.
All
yeah.
right, great.
I love someone new coming into town and want to participate.
Me
in part of
too,
the town.
me
That
too.
is fantastic. We need more of them.
Absolutely. So I'll make a motion to approve on contingency of, that there is an opening, the appointment of Richard Brentano for a 3-year term beginning 7/1/2021, 6/30/2024 on the Capital Budget Committee pending the required background check. And like I said, that there's an opening in the Capital Budget Committee.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All right, great.
Oh, we have the background.
Oh, we do? I didn't see it. I did not
There's
see
no
that.
identifiable criminal record in this state or all others that are part of this number 3 database. So we're
Oh,
good.
he's already passed. So
All right.
So he's already passed.
Somebody passed.
Oh, okay, great.
Critical point.
All right, well, all right.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Number 7, the discussion and vote on new appointment to Council on Aging, Nancy Curry. I have no issues, no questions.
Are we positive there's no criminal history there?
Pretty positive. Mr.
Yep,
Cooper?
already
All right.
passed as well. I thought it was. No, I have no questions. Great.
All right. So a motion to
Love it.
approve the appointment of Nancy P. Curry to the Council on Aging Board for a 3-year term that began on 7/1, will be arrears obviously, 7/1/2021 till 6/30/2024 pending the background check.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right. Next is next is discussion and vote on request for permission to hold a block party on Winslow Cemetery Road, Presidential Circle. I believe this is an annual event. I have no questions.
I'm looking forward to the invite and no questions.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Sounds like fun. No questions. Hope they have a great time.
Yeah, I think that should be a thing. If we approve their thing, we get to come have a hot dog.
Yeah.
At least a hot dog.
At least a hot dog, or maybe a cold beer.
Mr. Chairman, we used to say that when I was a selectman too, and once in a while the groups would catch on and invite you,
Nice.
and then they don't.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want me there either. I don't want to live in their hood.
Hey, Bob.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve a neighborhood block party on Winslow Cemetery Road, Presidential Circle, Constantine Drive, and Emmanuel Road for Friday afternoon, August 27th, 2021, from 3:30 p.m. till 8 p.m. pending approval by the building department.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Number 9, discussion and vote on temporary wine and malt license for Stellwagen Brewery for events at Magical Moon Farm. Any insight on this? I mean, I think these are just...
These are 3 fundraisers that they're having, and they'll having a temporary wine and malt.
Right. Okay.
This
Great.
is one day, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. No worries.
Each of the 3 days.
Great. They're going to have beer at Magical Moon Farm. I have no questions.
No questions.
They don't. I don't. They have like a ton of tip certified people at this event as well. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Who knew?
it looks like it's going to be a great event.
All right, cool. So I'll make a motion to approve a temporary wine and malt license for Stellwagen Beer Company for events to be held at Magical Moon Farm, 575 Summer Street on August 7th, 2021, August 22nd, 2021, and September 19th, 2021, pending sign-off by the MPD, MFD, Building Department, and site plan for each event, and the Board of Health.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, so next item is discussion and vote on application for one-day wine and malt license for Duxbury Food and Wine Festival September 25th, 2021. The reason that we're doing that, even though it's Duxbury Food and Wine Festival, it's being held at the historic Winslow House in Marshfield. I have no questions.
No questions.
Mr. Cookcoin?
I don't have any questions. It sounds like a really great dinner as well.
I'm just loving seeing all these events popping up, and looks like the rest of summer is going to be a good time. Motion to approve a one-day wine and malt license for Duxbury Food and Wine Festival on September 25th, 2021, from 4 p.m. till 9 p.m. at the historic Winslow House, located at 634 Carswell Street in Marshfield, pending approval by the MPD, MFD, Board of Health, Building Department, and the Certificate of Insurance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The next is discussion and vote on application for a common victualler license for the Duxbury Food and Wine Festival, September 25th. It's the victualler license that goes along with what we just discussed. I have no question.
No questions.
No questions.
All right, so it looks like it's going to be a German dinner, which is pretty cool.
Oktoberfest German dinner.
So I'll make a motion to approve a common victualler's license for the Duxbury Food and Wine Festival. It's a German dinner to be served during the Oktoberfest event, September 25th, from September 25th, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the historic Winslow House, 634 Carswell Street in Marshfield, pending approval by the MPD, MFD, Board of Health, the Building Department, and paying the appropriate fee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next, discussion and vote on a permission for temporary living quarters at 792 Moraine Street. This is from the William Last Sr. family, William Last Sr., Billy and Barbara Last. They recently purchased a home at 792 Moraine Street, and they are looking to live in their fifth wheel RV as a temporary living quarters while they renovate the house. So they will be right there while they renovate their property. It's pretty self-contained. A fifth wheel is pretty self-contained. I really have no issues with this, Mr. Darcy.
No questions.
Okay. All right. So I'll make a motion to approve the request for a fifth wheel RV for temporary living quarters due to renovations at 792 Moraine Street for a duration of 6 months, pending sign-off from the Board of Health to confirm suitable running water and sanitary sewage disposal on site.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. The next item is discussion and vote on waiving of sign permit fees for Chamber of Commerce. As many people have seen around town, the Chamber of Commerce is in partnership, and as you just heard from MCTV, Mr. Grabowski, is that there's a major campaign, the Open for Business campaign across the South Shore. This is a partnership with Scituate Chamber of Commerce and the South Shore Chamber of Commerce. It benefits all businesses, and the Chamber of Commerce came to secure their sign fees, and there was a $500 charge. So I felt that I wanted to bring this forward as something we could waive because it benefits all businesses in Marshfield, and it's not a private, it's a nonprofit and not a private organization. So anything on your end?
No, it
for
makes
this?
sense.
Makes
Yeah.
sense? Okay.
No, it benefits all businesses in the town?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, all right, so I'll make a motion to waive the $500 sign permit fee for the Marshfield Chamber of Commerce for the 2 banners and 1 sign for their Open for Business campaign.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. The next is discussion and vote on one-day entertainment license for Marshfield Community Rib Cook-Off, which is taking place 9/11/2021. Obviously, this is pending approval from the Board of Health, and any tents, also any tents over 120 square feet, need a building permit from the Building Department, so they'll be contingent on that if they have those tents. I think they do. I think I saw they do. Yes. Any discussion? Anything?
No questions.
Any questions or?
No, I'm just trying to put all these dates in my.
No kidding.
Go to the
I'm getting extremely
Oktoberfest, I
hungry
can go to
tonight.
the Rib
This is a
Fest.
great event.
Yeah.
I'm like, Ribfest?
Yeah.
No, I have no questions. I'm just putting in my calendar.
Okay, great. So I'll make a motion to approve a one-day entertainment license for the Marshfield Community Rib Cook-Off at the Marshfield Fairgrounds located at 140 Main Street for the Rib Cook-Off event to be held on September 11th, 2021 from 12 to 5, pending approval from the Board of Health, and any tents over 120 square feet need a building permit from the building department.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. And then the next item is discussion and vote on permission to use Avon Street parking lot on 8/27/21. This is actually for a wedding that's being held at the house of Mr. Joseph Ring, and he is looking to use the Avon Street parking. All the guests will arrive after 3 p.m. It looks like, although it's still during the summertime, after 3 p.m., many of our beachgoers are heading home, so I really don't see an issue with this. And there will be a customary charge of $1 per car fee paid to the town of Marshfield for this. So, any questions, concerns?
No questions.
Mr. Cocoyne?
No, we do this lots of times, no?
Good, yeah. So I'll make a motion to approve the request from Mr. Joseph Ring to park cars at the Avon Street lot on Saturday, August 27th, 2021, after 3 p.m. for their son's wedding that will be taking place at their home. There will be a customary charge of $1 per car fee paid to the town of Marshfield.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and then next item is motion, discussion, and vote on board committee reappointments, which, this one would be for Open Space Committee, Karen O'Donnell. Mrs. O'Donnell would like to continue serving. Her term will be in arrears from 7/1/2021 to 6/30/2024. I think Miss O'Donnell, I have no questions. Mr. Cocoyne. Mr. Darcy.
No questions.
All right, Mr. Cocoyne.
No, she served well for a long time, no questions.
Excellent. So I'll make a motion to reappoint Karen O'Donnell for a term of 3 years to the Open Space Committee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. And
Now, Mr. Chairman, just so you know, we have a posted executive session at 7:30 because we have outside counsel.
All right.
So I may recommend to the chair 2 options.
sure.
Option number 1 would be we could recess, do the executive session, then come back to public session, or we could postpone the board discussion to the next meeting, since there's nothing that's of urgency.
Let's just go ahead and postpone the board discussion.
Okay.
If it's not an urgent matter,
Yeah.
let's do that, and let's just adjourn this meeting and move to executive session. So last thing would be to vote to accept the minutes of June 21st and July 12th. Do we have signatures? Okay, I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, great.
And
So-
Mr. Chairman, just one thing before we close out the meeting and go to executive session. I just wanted folks to know, I was negligent under my administrative report. On the clinic, we're going to be starting up the clinic next Monday. We'll have stuff out to the media, but we're looking to do shots here Mondays and Wednesdays, 10 to 2. In the clinic, we have a clinic set up right next door. We have the nurses that will be assisting the fire staff in there. We've been approved by the state to do it here. We're going to allow walk-ins also.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And then we have a site that's called, and Patrick and IT were very good, Get Vaxxed with 2 X's
Yes.
at townofmarshfield.org. So we'll get
Excellent.
that out to everybody.
Excellent. All right, and I encourage everyone to go get the shot. If people are reading about the Delta variant, obviously Marshfield's in a great spot because many of our residents have gotten the shot, but I encourage everyone to, read the facts and get vaccinated. Read the facts and get vaxxed. Oh,
That's it.
advertising.
Oh, another advertisement,
May I
okay.
Yes.
Just make a quick comment here. I thought we were going to have on the agenda, if we couldn't, or maybe we can add this to the agenda, I don't know if we could, that we're writing a letter to Mass Fisheries.
We approved the writing of you writing the letter at the last
And I was
meeting.
going to read the letter in today, so we could just say that we could send it.
Yes.
Would that
Yeah,
be
it's
all
right
right?
there. It's right there. You can read it in, sure. It's up to the chair. I
yeah,
can't answer for the
absolutely.
chair, so. I was overstepping, Mr.
Mr.
Chair.
Darcy, you had a chance to read it already?
I already told him.
Yeah,
I
all
told
right.
him it
So
looked good.
just read this officially so the citizens know on behalf of the Board of Selectmen. Represent the town of Marshfield, whether it be unanimous or not, support the rescinding of the recreational shellfish closures of the North and South Rivers pending scientific data demonstrating evidence that affects public health. The shellfish beds are recreational only, not commercial. The FDA new standard does not specifically apply to recreational-only areas, rather is to prevent contamination of shellfish intended for interstate commerce to protect public health. For decades, the North and South Watershed Association, towns and residents have worked and spent millions of dollars on upgrading wastewater, stormwater infrastructure to meet the state's water quality standards based on fecal chloroform or bacteria. Due to that hard work, the rivers now meet the shellfish water quality standards from November 1st to May 31st. We urge Mass Fisheries to rescind the closure and not apply commercial standards to our recreational-only zoned areas of the North and South Rivers. And there's a significant CC list. This is in support of the efforts of both Patrick Kearney and Patrick O'Connor, our senator and our representative.
Excellent.
Thank you for letting me read that.
Absolutely. Great. So I'll make a motion to adjourn our regular meeting and move to executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation that, if discussed in open session, could have a negative impact on the litigating position of the town.
Second.
All those-
A motion been made and duly seconded. On this one, I do have to do a
have
roll
to, that's
call.
correct. I forgot.
Mr. Rowland?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Unanimous decision to go into executive session, not to return to public session.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.